Okay, who wants to go first today?
I I can go first.
Okay. Okay, everybody turn on your cameras.
Yeah.
Unique is in this audience. Okay, Dee, can you turn on your camera, please? And Alicia, Chris, I don't know if yours is working today. I'd like for the speaker to be able to see their audience.
Yeah, just a moment.
Okay. Okay. Chris, can you turn off your audio, please? Chris might be
Apologies.
acting. Okay, great. All right, Granit, we're ready for you. Uh-oh. There we go.
Can you hear me, Professor?
Yes, we can hear you.
So my general purpose is to inform. My specific purpose is to inform my audience three reasons why farmers of India protesting against three farming laws. So in India, there is a protest going on for around 140 days now. It all began when the three farming laws were passed without even considering the farmers what they want. It all started with the wrong intention. Even the process of passing the bill in the parliament was wrong. Usually, when there is a new law passed in the parliament, they take approval from all the member of the parliament. But while these three laws were being passed in the parliament, they passed it without taking anybody's approval, with so much chaos in the parliament also. There are many reasons why farmers are protesting against these three laws. They are protesting because these same laws were already passed in some other states of India. In India, uh, which resulted in paying less amount for the crops that were grown by the farmers of those states. The second main reason is that MSP was not assured by the government to the farmers. Now, now you must be thinking, what's MSP? MSP is basically MSP basically assures that the farmer will at least get the minimum amount for their price for their crop, which has been decided. The protest began after three laws were passed forcefully. It first began in the small villages of Punjab and Haryana. Punjab and Haryana are two main states where the bill passed recently. Okay. Uh, so it first began in the small villages of Punjab and Haryana. When they were protesting in the villages, there was no media support, zero presence of national media, but the local reporters were still there, but it did not help much. However, the farmers decided that they will march toward the national capital, which is New Delhi, national capital. Uh, and it helped much. It helped a little. They got the focus of media, but the because yeah. Wait. So while they were marching to Delhi, they had to face many difficulties, such as crossing barricades, which were placed by the state police, so that the farmers could not reach national capital. The government tried everything to stop the farmers. They used water cannons, tear gases, and also they dug the roads. The government and police all were treating those people as terrorists. Even most of the news channels they claim that treating they claim that the people who were protesting are terrorists, not farmers, which was totally wrong. A government has no right to forcefully give their people what they don't want. They are trying to hand everything to big companies because those big companies help them during their election campaigns. It's been more than 140 days now that the farmers are protesting for the revocation of three laws, but the government of India seems to give no positive response toward them. So I just want to let you know just one thing. So till now, 248 farmers have died while protesting. Yeah, I'm done, Professor. Can you hear me, Professor? Yeah, it's sad that 248 farmers have died, but I don't think so. You guys know about that, right? Because they are not showing on any news platform.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had my mute on. No, I
Yeah,
didn't know about that. I don't
yeah,
know
yeah,
how many other students know about it. But
yeah.
no, I didn't know that was going on.
Mhm.
So when was the law passed?
Uh, in just a second, in October or November, I guess. In 2020.
20. Okay, so
Yeah,
just recently.
and yeah, and the farmers they are protesting from that particular period. So it's been more than 150, I guess 140 days. It's been more than 140 days. Yeah,
Oh, 6 months. Okay.
yeah, yeah, and no media is showing about that.
So are the people of India on the side of the protesters?
Yeah, most of yeah,
Do they believe what the government is saying?
yeah, because these same three laws have been passed in some other states, which resulted negative. Like because the farmers of those states they got less amount on their crops. They got poor because of that.
And the
That's why
government is taking all of the money.
yeah, the government is trying to give it to big companies, all the farming things.
Okay, so how does the farming industry work in India?
uh, so there is a middle person who who buy from the farmer and sell it to the government, and these three laws trying to get rid of that middle person, which is bad for the small farmer, because he he can't argue with the companies. He can't file claim if he get less price, right? But he can deal with the middle person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're trying to say is like the farmer real basically just knows how to farm their crops.
Yes.
And this
And
middle person is really the business side of it.
yes, it's like a family member, the middle person here over here in India, and they're trying to get rid of the middle person, and they're trying to give all those opportunities to the big companies.
Okay, so
Yeah,
then the big companies now, they deal directly with the
they
farmer
deal with the farmers,
with
which
not
farmer
being
doesn't.
equipped with business skills
Yeah,
so that they could possibly trick them into
trick them.
lower
Yeah,
profits
yeah, because
because they don't
and
really
and and the
have their
farmers.
best interest in heart.
Yeah,
So,
and the farmers know because these three laws have been passed in other states, which resulted really bad.
okay, so what's the other two laws? So the one law is to get rid of.
So one law is to get rid of the middle person. Second law, they don't give MSP. MSP is minimum support price, which has been decided before the crop grows. It decides the amount that you will get minimum this amount, whether you grow good crop or bad crop, whatever.
Okay, so that's like a
Yeah,
subsidy, what we call in America, a subsidy.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what it was.
okay. So, do you see any progress on the side of the protesters, or do you think
I I don't see that because government is showing no response, no positive response about that. They're trying to trick uh trick the trick the people of India.
so? Do you think if this matter were more open to the public or around the world, that it could
Yeah,
garner more interest?
yeah. I think if people over the world know about it, it might help. Even if people tweet about it, it might help. Yeah.
So, I mean, are they doing anything? You said that they were treating the
Yeah,
protesters like terrorists.
terrorists. Yeah, they are using while the farmers were marching toward the national capital, which is New Delhi. So the police and the government they tried everything. Like they blocked their ways with the barricades, and they used tear gas. They used water cannons. Everything. They beat them with the sticks too.
And arrested them and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
arrested.
And
Uh, over more than 250 people were arrested without any reason.
and they're
Yeah.
still in jail today,
Uh,
or did they get
n-
out?
n- no, they got out. I mean, more. Yeah, most of them got out. Just 15 or 16 are still there. Yeah, yeah, it's
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Does anybody else have any other questions for Kenny? All
yeah.
right.
I was very excited about that one because I wanted to share with all of us.
Thank you. Yeah, because I never heard. Did anybody else ever hear of this going on? Wow. Something, right? How communication just opens up our awareness, right? Okay. Okay, who wants to go next? Anyone want to volunteer to go next? Okay, Ganit, you can put your mute, your audio on mute. Who wants to go next? Okay, okay. How about Kiara? You ready?
All right, I'll go. Just one moment. Okay. So, oopsie. There was a time where everyone was a child, right? Where everyone was a kid and they always wanted to play. That's what children do. They play. They play with stuffed animals, Barbie dolls, toy miniature cars and whatnot, even a board game like Uno or Sorry. But when they grow older, these toys start to disappear. Of course, when they grow older, they grow out of those habits of playing with those little toys. But there are some adults who keep some of them, some of those toys, but they never think to actually play with them. They just collect them or keep them stored in storage or something like that. And some of these toys disappear, but there's one toy that doesn't disappear, not completely. You can use this toy to play with characters like Mario or Zelda or even Samus. And, you know, children play with it, adults play with it, grandmothers play with it, the elder play with it, your coworkers play with it, even your boss plays with it. Everybody plays with it. And they're located on every electronic device, on your phone, your computer, everywhere. And so that toy is called a video game. They're located on every electronic device, right? Companies make billions upon billions of dollars selling these consoles that allow people to play these video games, such as the Nintendo DS and Nintendo Switch. But they didn't just come out of nowhere, right? They have an entire history. Video games came about from a very long time ago. It took a long journey for them to begin as where they are now. So video games had to begin from somewhere. So it took a long journey for video games to begin, and a man named Steve Russell created Space War. That invention brought about newer inventions like the Atari console, the Commodore 64, and lastly came games like the Xbox 360 and the PS4. Those are game consoles. So Steve Russell was a student at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which is a very prestigious university. In 1962, he designed the first video game called Space War. It was built on a large computer. Back in the day, computers were extremely big. They were the size of refrigerators and the size of your entire desk. That was the only way that they could compile data and process information. And so all this big stuff was transferred into a small, tiny screen. And that's where all the information would be on the screen and you could play the video game. Now, Space War was a video game in which two people would control a joystick, well, not a joystick, but it would control a keyboard like this. It's a later model. It would control a keyboard and allow to shoot other players with a spaceship. And this computer was called a PDP-1. And Space War was a monumental invention, because it allowed for the further development of games in the gaming industry. So after Space War was made, it was a science project that wasn't for sale. It was just a project made in the Institutes of Massachusetts by the student. Many books have been documented on the success of space war, and one of the books was called The Complete History of Computers and Video Games. It was written by video game journalist Paul Glancy. He is a video game journalist. According to the book, it analyzes on the history of video games. And it states, Nolan Bushnell, who shortly after graduation from the University of Utah decided to build his own version of space war called Computer Space. Now, Computer Space is a program that was allowed on a smaller kind of computer system. What it was basically a small computer hardware that you could connect to a black and white TV because it was back in the day. And so you would be able to play the Space War, which is just a remake of Space War, which is Computer Space. But the problem with this is that the tutorials that were made for Computer Space were too complex. And at the time, since computers and video games were quite new in the 1970s, people didn't understand what the purpose of it was. So it didn't sell, but it was still marketable because it had a potential. This success brought about the newer creations of the console, like the Atari and, of course, the Commodore 64. This is a Commodore 64. Well, this isn't exactly what it was like back in the day. It was much bigger, but this here is what allowed people to play on computers and whatnot. And during this time, they invented the joystick. This was used to plug into the Commodore 64 so that you may control the sprite onto the screen and, of course, play games. So, unlike the PDP-1 computer, the Atari computer was the size of a small laptop, and it was thick like a 5,500-page textbook. The Atari was a computer that allowed people to play video games like Pac-Man, and Pac-Man was a big game. It sold over 7 million copies. Back in the day, 7 million copies was a big number. And so, simply, it was made. And it didn't have a lot of instructions. You could just play it, and it was pretty fun for many people. So it sold a lot. So according to the Encyclopedia Britannica, Atari console and video game consoles released around 1977, that being the console that allowed you to play Pac-Man, by the North American game manufacturer Atari Inc. And the same guy who made Ping Pong, which is Nolan Bushnell, is the same man who funded and founded Atari Inc., which is interesting. So the Atari computer used a cartridge-based system, just like your Nintendo DS or Nintendo Game Boy. They use cartridges like this. And so this is an evolution of that. Similar to computers and CDs of today. And that system paved a new way for gaming consoles to evolve. Finally, from the PDP-1 computer to the Atari and the Commodore 64 came the newer generation of consoles. This consisted of the Xbox 360. Actually, I have it right here. This big, heavy machine, it's called the Xbox 360, and it still has the same components of that of a C64, which they all contain hard drives and disk drives. But this is all in one. And it was created by a company called Microsoft, and it made its debut in 2005, which is a couple years ago. The components in the Xbox were the same as that of a computer, according to a book called Hacking the Xbox, Introduction to Reverse Engineering, which is written by a reverse engineer. It includes the images inside of the Xbox like a computer. It contains a hard drive and a disk drive. Disk drive is where you put the CD into the Xbox and it plays your game. Hard drive is the hard circuit that runs the game, that allows it to process the information of the game, thus allowing you to play it. So the Xbox 360 had graphics that allowed the player to be in 3D worlds. Back in the day, on the C64, you could only play 2D games. There was no such thing as 3D capabilities, although there were some, like the VIC-20, which is a predecessor to the C64, created a bouncing mechanics and whatnot. But really, 3D mechanics were quite new. And the Xbox 360 basically allowed games like Minecraft, Final Fantasy, and I actually have a couple here. Minecraft, which this game sold about 200 million copies, which is legendary. That's at least 193 million copies more than Pac-Man. And so this paved the way for new games to reach new people, and it made a big difference. In conclusion, video games have a long history, but it continues to grow today. It continues to make everyone happy in their loneliest moments. Programmers like Nolan Bushnell and Steve Russell have created these games for people to enjoy and love. There's a quote by Shigeru Miyamoto, which is the director of Nintendo, who states, "It should be the experience that is touching. What I strive for is to make the person playing the game the director. And this is why games are so successful today." Thank you.
Thank you, Kiara, for that enlightening history of video game.
I forgot to introduce one of the other ones, which is the C64. And this is the cartridges, the memory cartridges that they used to put into the C64 so that you could basically save more data onto the games. And you stick it in just like that, tightly knit, and there it goes. And you can play your games like Mario Kart, or I'm a game guru. I'm a gaming guru. I love games so much. They're awesome.
I remember that joystick. I used to be a
Yeah.
big Miss Pac-Man player in the late 80s.
The late 80s, yeah.
80s. And
I mean, I know I wasn't
plug
born
it
at that
into
time.
TV. You had to plug that joystick into the front of your TV.
Yeah. I wasn't.
Train.
Yeah, I wasn't around that time, but it piqued my interest because, like, I was in, electronic engineering and whatnot, and I found out how people would code and program on these little things. And it was interesting, and I don't ever stop losing interest in these.
It's very interesting. As I told you all before, when I went to college, there was no such thing as the internet.
Yeah.
We took a new class, which was learning to write in BASIC and Fortran.
BASIC and Fortran, those are the two languages.
Yeah, computer science.
It has that.
BASIC and Fortran. Then later on,
Hello World
came out.
Yeah.
One of our projects, and it's funny because looking back, you could understand that the project we had in that class was the beginnings of the Mac machine. we were tasked with figuring out how to make change. Okay, how to make change when and write it in a computer language. You had to learn all of this if then language,
statements,
if this, then that.
I mean, it's not complicated. It's just it's really fun to use if then statements and else statements, and you can make some pretty bizarre stuff with this little tiny thing.
Yeah.
You can extend its capabilities and its limits so far. People manage to make 3D balls running and whatnot. It's amazing what these machines can do.
And to have lived through that revolution, I call it, that technological revolution,
Yeah.
Was fascinating. It really was.
Yeah.
To go from no computers to computers
Mm-hmm.
was really a big deal. And once Microsoft came out,
Mm-hmm.
and the personal computer, which was like in the early 90s, when
Right. Right.
actually started getting these personal computers. Before they were really like word processors. It was almost like they came up with the electric typewriter first, where it had like a little brain in it, so to speak, a little
Right.
memory
Right.
in it. Um, and
Yeah.
then from there, we started with, other computers. But once that desktop came out, that personal desktop where you were able, and then internet, it was just so fascinating that from there, life just
And
changed.
it went quick.
And the telephone was right along with that. The cell phone, I should say, telephone. The cell phone
Mm.
was coming along right with that. And if you ever
Yeah.
see the first mobile phones that people had, like my first cell phone was a phone in a bag, right? And you would have to take your car to a car uh, place, like a repair type of place, and they would
Mm.
install that phone into your car. It was amazing. It was great. And you could actually
Wow.
carry that around, but you couldn't use it too far from, being in that car.
Right.
So it was something. And like the first, it was really big. It was very big. A lot of stuff to carry
It's like huge.
with you. But
It's like you're calling someone this.
yeah, the whole industry was just amazing.
And now it's getting more advanced. Like now they have esports, which is where players can play against other players for money for tournaments, which is incredible. Like they're playing Street Fighter 5, they're playing Minecraft, what do you call it, Final Fantasy online, and all these other games. It's incredible. I didn't know you could earn money from playing video games.
So
It's
no,
like it's
I
huge.
didn't either. So does that have any connection to the online gambling industry today?
Online gambling, I never really researched that, but I know it's become a problem. Like for mobile game apps, you really find that there. I don't really recognize it in,
They
actually there
they do
are
have a
issues with
gambling.
game.
They
Yeah,
do
they
have a
do have,
gambling
actually
component.
there was a game that came out called Star Wars Battlefront, and they had an issue with EA making loot boxes. And what loot boxes are basically pay to win scheme.
No, no, no. I
And
think she's talking about like sports books where they gamble on the outcome of professional matches.
oh,
And
those,
yes, Professor,
I
there
don't
is
know.
there is a
I'm
gambling
pretty sure
component.
it's, yeah, I'm pretty
Chris,
sure it's evident.
Chris, they do like Comic Con where they have a kickoff with gamers play like for big money,
Hmm.
$10,000, 5,000. This
Hmm.
big Comic Con with all the different characters, and
Hmm.
you can go up against anybody that you want to go if you know
It's
that you got
awesome.
that skill.
Yeah,
And people
they
bet on
have,
it. And people
yeah,
bet
they
on
have
everything.
competitions for this. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
it's very interesting. Very interesting. I love it.
Okay. Any other questions for Kiara? All right. Thank you, Kiara. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, who's gonna go next? Okay. Alicia, you ready? I can't hear you. Unmute yourself, Alicia.
I have a bad tendency. I said I'm not, but why not? Might as well get it over with and be done. Oh my God.
So today we just have Alicia, Christian, and Dee, right?
Nobody else?
Like we lost Dee.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Chris, are you going
Yeah.
today? Okay, so we just have two more for today, right? Jasmine, I didn't see anything for you. Are you going to deliver your speech today?
I don't think so. I didn't turn it in yet.
Okay, so what I said earlier in the class before you came was that, Wednesday is Amnesty Day. So I'm going to permit you to submit your speech documents on Wednesday. However, if you don't submit anything by Wednesday, then you can't give your speech, okay, at a later date.
Okay.
So Wednesday is the absolute deadline.
Oh, you could give it another day?
You're not comfortable, Alicia?
I'm gonna go. However, I didn't submit the outline, but I'm gonna submit it. I need to make some adjustment to it, so I'm gonna.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get someone else.
Oh, so we can go Wednesday too? Oh.
No, there's nothing on Wednesday. There's nothing
No
on
class
Wednesday's
on Wednesday.
amnesty.
Class is canceled on Wednesday. So
Oh.
class Wednesday.
It's amnesty day.
Oh, okay.
So see,
Yes,
are
Professor.
you saying you're not ready for your speech either?
Well, I am, but I mean, if I had the time, I would do some revisements.
You don't want to get it over with?
I'll go.
I mean, all right, Professor, I'm gonna just.
Think about it some, D. It's up to you. It's up to you. I want you to get good grades, though.
Appreciate it.
All right, Chris, are you ready for today?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay.
Okay.
I will come back to Chris and Alicia
Oh, most definitely. Let me mute my mic.
after Chris. To see if you guys have made a decision. All right, Chris.
Sorry, it's my dogs. Stella. All right. I want you to think back to your worst experience with management. Did your supervisor follow you around and nitpick every detail of your work? Did they fail to recognize when you performed above and beyond? Did they seem to acknowledge how their treatment of you affected your quality of work or state of mind? Whether by fortune or misfortune, I've had the pleasure of being a part of many organizations. In that time, I've encountered leaders across the spectrum, from truly inspirational to truly demoralizing. I can say beyond a shadow of a doubt that poor leadership erodes organizational integrity by destroying trust, sapping motivation, and decimating morale. First, poor leadership destroys trust in the leader's ability to effectively govern. Subordinates need to trust that their leaders have a steady hand on the helm. Failing that, workers lose faith that the organization is headed in the right direction. This indicates a lack of vision from leadership. If they're unable to see the near-term consequences of their decisions, how will they keep the organization out of danger? In a report on the effect of ineffective leadership in Jordanian institutions, the authors note that this is emblematic of administrative model myopia, or management myopia, where leaders lose track of the direction of their company's strategy and strategic vision, causing doubt among workers. This doubt on the part of the workers becomes reticence to carry out orders, further compounding the problem. Leadership meets with increasing resistance to decisions, which further erodes their ability to govern. Second, poor leadership saps the motivation of workers to give their best efforts. In their study, Ineffective Leadership, investigating the negative attributes of leaders and organizational neutralizers, Tour and Ogunlana list not supportive and demanding of subordinates on their list of characteristics contributing to the incompetence of managers. Unsupportive and demanding leaders tend to neglect rewarding their subordinates, and over time, this demoralizes their workforce. The leader finds it harder to get quality results from their immediate subordinates, and oftentimes propagates down the chain of command. And this oftentimes propagates down the chain of command. Eventually, low quality becomes the norm, and workers will resist efforts to change until they feel that their work is appreciated. Ultimately, this becomes ingrained in the organization's culture. Finally, poor leadership absolutely decimates the morale of the organization. When an organization's leaders consistently fail to recognize the efforts of their workers, eventually output decreases. The organization struggles to meet goals. Margins shrink, bonuses disappear, and cost-cutting measures are implemented. In a study of Ghanaian health workforce governance, it was noted that when poorly managed, postings and transfers result in maldistribution, absenteeism, and low morale. In these circumstances, employees start looking for the door. Turnover increases, and the most experienced and most qualified workers are the first to go, further degrading the ability of the organization to turn around. It is truly hard to overstate the importance of good leadership. However, more important is the ability to recognize signs of poor leadership in others as well as ourselves. We must nip in the bud the first signs of ineffective leadership before the effects become irreversible. Failing this, our ventures are doomed to collapse.
So you weren't talking about any of your bosses or anything like
No, would never do that. Never speak ill of my former bosses.
that. Just the ones that
Yeah, no.
because
Case
remember
studies,
you
case
told us
studies.
about your
Right.
supervisor who got I remember that conversation. Okay. Um Anybody have any questions for Chris? I did, let me see. Oh, that's funny about you. I can't print it now. Okay. Any questions for Chris? Poor leadership is not a good thing, right? Now,
Deal with them on a daily basis, trust me.
oh yeah, you're in retail, right?
Same.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, that one. My the assistant manager called me today and she said, "Don't go to work because I quit. I just like I'm I'm here in class, but there's a whole bunch of things swirling in my head because I know that her responsibility is gonna shove down on me when I reach. Yeah, she said I just
Hmm.
handing them keys. I didn't want you to walk in a tornado, but I can't do it anymore. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that a lot of their leadership, poor leadership too, has to do with poor communication.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
For sure.
Or the turnover rate, which in our situation is just we've been constantly pressured because 2 weeks ago I went to work and my boss said, listen, I'm telling you I'm leaving. And she put in her resume effective immediately. Yeah. And she left. And since she left, it's like, they got a replacement, but it's just like us as supervisors where we've been pressured. We're constantly under pressure because people keep on walking off because I don't want to say this generation. I am really worried about this generation because this generation don't like to work. This is a lazy generation. Yeah.
Well, you're going to get some pushback on that one.
But not
Yeah,
only
I
in retail,
disagree.
because my cousin is in data management and she has the same problem. People are working from home, but they're calling out they're sick. And some simple excuse that they can just do and get back to work. People been logging on, not doing their work. She has to be checking in the queue.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. It kind of turned me off from management and stuff like that. It's really challenging to manage people. Trust me,
I know.
it's not good.
It's not easy.
No.
Not even remotely. But it's a skill. It's something you have to develop.
Yeah, but it lets you lose your night rest too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, no. Like, no, nobody said that you had to sleep well.
Uh-uh.
And
No.
one thing we don't always consider is that customer service cannot really be taught.
No.
Okay, good customer service can't really be taught, can it?
No, it's a matter of temperament.
I
Yeah.
think it's just common sense and the nature how you approach certain situation, because if you have a hostile customer, you can approach that customer with fire. You have to have a middle ground right there. You have to be the water. And sometimes being the water is not easy when they're coming at you with certain type of stuff. You just have to be just neutral.
So it has a lot to do with the person's personality,
Hmm.
Yeah. If
right?
you have a strong personality, it's
That
not
has
for
a
you.
lot to do with their leadership styles,
Yeah.
particularly if they haven't been properly trained.
That's a big one.
So,
Ah.
yeah.
I wanted to keep my speech a little bit shorter, but that was something I was going to include. Like when you start losing a lot of experienced people, there's nobody to train the new hires,
There you
and
go.
that just like compounds the issue. It just becomes one after another, and it just becomes harder and harder for you to turn the ship around.
Mm-hmm.
But think about some of our communication skills that we've learned, effective communication skills that we've learned. If a person is bringing a lot of their extra baggage, right,
Mm,
into the workplace with them, a lot of times this is, what we were talking about, the perception, people's perceptions, and how
mm,
we bring our old experiences with us to situations that we're faced with. So a lot of it has to do with effective communication, good communication skills. And we can teach that. However, the person has to be acceptable, has to be accepting of it. If you come with these certain biases in your brain or prejudices in your brain, that's a little bit harder for you to overcome um, in being trained. The willingness to accept that perhaps what you're bringing is not good and we need an overhaul. So the person not only, can you has to have the training, but they have to be willing to accept the change as well. And without that, it's pretty difficult to, improve on the person's leadership abilities.
Yeah, most definitely.
All right. Well, thanks, Chris, for that um, speech. Poor leadership.
Indeed.
Okay, so who? I guess
I'll go and
actually
get it over with.
And Deep. Okay, so Elisa, you made the decision. You want to go?
Yeah, yeah, I'm just going.
Okay.
Let me put my timer on. Ready?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Hold on. You never ready. I have to start over. Did you know that nonverbal communication are 12.5 times more powerful than your words? All we we all know that technology has helped us to navigate through life's journey, but it does not connect us with each other on a deeper level. According to Shirley Turkle, author of the Empathy Diary, face-to-face conversation is the most human and humanized thing we can do. Fully present to one another, we learn to listen. It's where we develop the capacity of empathy. It's where we experience joy of being heard, of being understood. Some people don't know how to have face-to-face conversation because of technology. One of the benefits of having a face-to-face conversation is building a network. People work together as a team. They can solve problems than more quickly and have a deeper connection with each other, in which your technology does not provide that kind of connection. The second benefit of a face-to-face conversation gives you nonverbal cues. It helps you to see people's reaction, whether they are actively nodding their heads or smiling. It shows you if they are engaged. If you weren't there and just using your technology, you wouldn't have been able to see all the nonverbal cues. Studies have shown that over 93% of communication are nonverbal. The third and final benefit of face-to-face conversation is being present, living in that moment. You are out there having dinner with your families, friends. Put away your technology device and enjoy the interaction of creating new memories. According to Maria Konnikova, author of Limits of Friendship, if you spend most of your time online, you may not get enough in-person group experience to learn how to properly interact on a larger scale. If we don't pay close attention to these things, face-to-face interpersonal interaction skill will diminish. As I have explained the three ways we can improve our face-to-face conversation for people who do not know how to have face-to-face conversation because of technology, it is very important that we follow these steps to help us with our face-to-face conversation. We can learn from these basic principles in order to become better communicators. There are many things that shaped and mold us into the individual we become. We should pay close attention to our behaviors around our technology. It is important that we stay connected and interact with one another on a daily basis to help us build stronger relationships.
Wasn't that bad, was it?
No, it's better than the last time.
Well, okay. All right, so of course you picked something that was close to my heart, right?
Yeah.
Nonverbal
Who
communication.
knows her audience?
Right. So you related that topic well.
Um,
Um, what's something that you learned in your research that you didn't learn in class about nonverbal communication?
Be careful.
she said be careful. Um, with the nonverbal, for me that I've learned that action really speak louder than words, the volume. People don't have to really say it in words, and the nonverbal action is deeper and more meaningful than people words. Then you would say they're loyal to their action then. And just by the body language and certain things, yeah, there's a lot I've learned that in class too, that perception of how people react with their body language and their response to certain things. But one thing that I've learned, I didn't know that there is so much percentage out there of nonverbal communication that really speak louder than using your words on a daily basis, because we use our words so many times and sometimes we're not touching base. People are not receiving what we're saying. But I noticed from my son, if I'm start to act in some type of way, when I talk to him about certain things, it's like it goes through one ear and come out through the other. But if I start to act out what I'm saying to him, he started to get things together.
Right.
I don't know.
How about a saying that my mother used to say was, "I could show you better than I could tell you."
Yeah,
I
he
think we've
started to
all
get
heard some.
things together.
Yes, we've all heard some variation of that, right?
Yeah,
I can show you better than I can tell you.
yeah.
Right?
So it does have volume.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And we don't always know what it means either, right?
No.
How we say it's ambiguous. We don't, like, we might think it means one thing, but it could mean something totally different. And we
Yeah.
know when we start using technology, like, you know, texting, um, email, sometimes the translation really gets lost.
Yeah.
and we don't understand. Like some people don't know if you write in all caps, it really is sending a message of um, concentration and focus. It may be that I'm excited, I'm loud, I'm trying to really bring this home that I wrote in all caps. So you send a message like that to someone and you don't know that it has that connotation. Remember we talked about connotation
Yeah.
versus denotation, the dictionary meaning, as opposed to the subjective meaning. If you don't know the connotation of writing in all caps in a text or in the email, then you might not know that you are perhaps offending someone or sending the wrong message to someone, that you are excited or upset in some way as you're sending this message. So it can be very ambiguous at
Very.
times, and it can get us in a lot of trouble that we
Yeah, it may
tend
come
to
out
get
the wrong
into.
way.
So, yes, and, and
Yes.
and we generally do pay more attention to what people do than
Yep.
to what they say.
That's true. That's
We
true.
already know people a lot of times just don't say what they mean, right?
Yeah,
Just don't say
because
what they mean.
sometimes my husband having a bad day, come home and he's not saying anything. Oh honey, how are you? Or whatever. Just start moving like a robot. I said, okay, let me get out the way.
Yeah, he's sending you a signal,
So,
okay? Not today.
yeah.
Uh,
So it does have a lot of volume there.
for
But
sure.
I think technology really, I wanted to go really in depth on the technology. I think technology, as we are in a new digital age and we have evolved so far where technology is concerned, uh a lot of young people are more caught up in technology and don't have that interaction, being on the street, just playing, just interacting. You know, I watching my son and his friends the other day at my birthday party, and they were all like this.
Texting
They're
each other.
together but they're not together. They are like this. They are together but they're not together.
Yeah, I do see young people. I had my goddaughter and her friend in the back seat, and they were actually texting each other now.
Yeah, yeah.
I suspect they
I don't get
didn't
it.
want me to hear what they had to say. That's what I was thinking, but
Mm-mm.
her
That's how
mother
they
told me,
communicate.
I don't know if that's all of the reason,
Nope,
Rhonda,
that's how they
because
communicate.
they're like stuck on their phones. Like they think that's how they have to talk. They
Yep.
don't do it verbally with words. They text each other.
I think they're too attached to their device and it take away a lot. And I don't see where it's leading to social change.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, it's social change, all right, but I don't know how good it is.
Yeah, I'm scared.
I don't know how good it is. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Alicia.
You're welcome. Let me mute my mic.
All right. So, Deep, did you make the decision yet? If you want to go
I would like to make some revision in my speech. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So that's it for today. Um, just a couple of comments for the people who didn't go today. The visuals are very important. They should be a part of your speech. So you should think about how you can incorporate visuals into your speech. Um, and you are required to cite a certain amount of sources. I believe it's 2 for this one. And 6 are required for the speech. So that's important. And practice, practice, practice. Now, for those of you who went today, I'm going to be extra lenient on you, more so than I will be on the people who are going next time because they're late. Okay, and you took the advantage and courage to go today. So I'm going to definitely take that into consideration with your speeches today. Okay, and I thank everybody for going today and for being prepared. All the people who were, I appreciate that. Okay, and so does the rest of the class because nobody really wants to wait around afterwards now to hear a speech that was supposed to have been given the week before. So I will entertain them, but they're going to be last after all of the special occasion speeches. Okay. But I will entertain
The special occasion speech.
them.
Oh, it's special occasion. Can I do a graduation speech?
Sure.
Okay.
Now, what type of speech will that be? Because remember, there's varying types that we discussed. What type of speech would your graduation speech be?
To be honest,
Now, tell me what type of graduation speech.
Like a high school graduation?
So you're speaking like you're giving the address?
Yeah.
For the speech to the whole class?
To the old graduation class.
Graduation speech.
It's a graduation.
People came to watch you and during the celebration. Like
Gratulatory?
What type of graduation speech are you getting? I'm sorry, Jasmine.
Gratulatory?
Well, it depends on what you're doing.
Okay.
So that's why I was asking which one. If you were doing it if you were congratulating, elaborate on that, Jasmine.
Congratulating them for passing, like you've done all this work, you're finally here, you're moving on with your life, congrats.
That would be a graduation address.
Oh, okay.
So you're doing a valedictory.
So now what type of speech would that be?
Say you are part of the class, but you're giving like a valedictory.
Okay. Same thing. What type of speech is that?
I don't know.
That's a commemorative speech.
Commemorative.
Okay. Commemorative speeches pay tribute.
Oh, pay tribute, yeah. Yeah.
You're paying tribute to someone or something. All right. If you were doing it to friends who attended a graduation celebration after the graduation was over, what type of speech would that be?
Celebration.
One more time.
If you were giving a graduation speech after the graduation ceremony for people who were celebrating it with you later, what type
of toast
would that be?
No, I think that's
that like a toast.
No, that's a celebration. Or to congrats.
Different speeches. These speeches that you're talking about aren't really any types of speeches that I told you are types of.
After dinner.
You told us.
Say again, Chris. I hear you.
It would be an after dinner speech.
No.
But if you're congratulating.
Okay. No, I didn't say congratulating. I said graduation.
Right, but you said like congratulating somebody after.
Thanking people for coming to an award.
Oh, for that.
Your graduation.
So yeah, that would be an acceptance speech.
Right.
Right. I thought you were describing like at a celebration afterwards, everybody's together.
No, now remember, after dinner speeches are those speeches that we see similar to like something somebody might give at a luncheon or breakfast. Remember, I told you that they're whimsical. Right. Sometimes we use humor.
Right.
So it's not necessarily that it's after dinner or after something that you would use an after dinner speech.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's why, I mean, that's the type of speech I would give if I were congratulating somebody for graduating high school, you know what I mean? Or if I were congratulating somebody for getting married or, I would.
No, those are speeches of acceptance.
Um,
Okay, those
Spe-
are you, if you're that's not an after dinner speech. Now let me tell you, an after dinner speech, it has a topic that is, say you're going to talk about the history of video games, okay, or you're going to talk about, these speeches are not, the purpose of them are not like these other speeches that we're talking about, speeches of presentation, speeches of introduction, speeches of acceptance. They're different. That after dinner speech is more like the commemorative type of speech. It's different from what you were saying you were trying to do.
okay.
You're looking at me like that.
this is it. I
I,
gotta get it in
listen,
the next time we meet is the next speech, right?
once you start paying tribute, you congratulating them, they've done a good job, you want them to go on, you have this message, that's a commemorative speech.
Hmm.
Okay. If you're you already had your graduation, you're going to a party, you're talking to other people about coming to your party, that's an acceptance speech.
Like accepting the praise and stuff.
If you are giving a speech that's not one of these others, okay, where you're introducing somebody, you're presenting an award, you're accepting something, or you're paying tribute, all right, now you're falling into that after dinner speech realm where you're treating a topic whimsically. It's not something that you are um, having a heavy discussion about, like Gurneet was talking about the protesters.
Hmm.
So you wouldn't really deal with a topic that is controversial or argumentative, or even too heavy in nature. When I say heavy, I mean not lighthearted. Okay. The after dinner speeches, as I told you, they generally have humor in them. You don't always have to use humor, especially if you're not a good person that uses humor. But it is a very different speech from um, paying tribute to someone or accepting a gift or an award. You wouldn't do something like that in an after dinner speech. What about a speech of presentation? When are you giving a speech of presentation?
When you're introducing something, like
So
presenting
when you are introducing someone,
someone.
okay, that's a speech of introduction. All right. A speech of presentation is when you are presenting an award or gift to someone. That's the speech of presentation. Okay. Remember, you need to tell me what type of speech you are delivering.
Okay.
So, you should not say special occasion speech. You should say what
Cool.
type of special occasion. So you would say, um, you're to commemorate. Okay. If you're going to give an after dinner speech, then say to entertain, which is the purpose of it. Okay. And say after dinner. To entertain after dinner. That's the that is the purpose of the speech. Okay. Remember, I've still saw a couple of people being um, too broad in your specific purpose. Be careful about that. So don't say something like um, to uh, inform my audience about um, poor drivers. What about poor drivers? Don't just say about. Don't say to explain 3 things you need to know about something. What things? Be specific about it. Don't use words like aspects. 3 aspects of something. What aspects? What are you talking about? You have to be clear and concise in these um, statements. Okay. Any questions at all? All right. We have uh, one more week. There's no class on Wednesday. Remember that. We will be back on the 26th when we will be entertaining our special occasion speeches on the 26th. All right. On the 28th, if we don't get through all of the special occasion speeches, we will continue on that day, and we will entertain informative speeches that have not been given yet as well. Okay. Any questions about your student evaluation?
Wait, about the evaluations?
Mhm.
I don't think so. Well, mommy's home. Hope you excited about that. Go get her.
Okay, so um, you're going to have 2 tapes, of course. This one, and then the one on the 28th. Okay, so it's going to be a little late for the evaluation on that one because I believe the evaluation is due on the 30th or so. So that might be a little late. Any questions about anything?
The evaluation, we're evaluating ourselves.
No. You will be assigned a
Oh,
speaker
okay.
to evaluate.
Oh,
It'll be like a pet peeve, right? We gotta evaluate other people. Okay.
you know where my mind went, Professor? At the end of every semester, give a paper to write your evaluation and your progress and what you have learned in the class. That's where my mind was just now.
Oh,
Yes.
got the instructor evaluation.
Yeah, you have to do one on yourself and go through all the different
Oh, a
topics that you have learned.
self-assessment evaluation. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't require that here. I mean, I would
Are you
like
doing that with our
to look at.
journals?
I would. Excuse me.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Are you gonna do that with the journals you want us to do? You said after class we're supposed to be doing a journal entry. Is that like an evaluation of us paying attention?
Yeah. What we learn in class and
It's really a self-evaluation. It's really a way of you to study, to go back and review what did we learn in the class, review it. It's a way for you to apply the techniques to your everyday life because we're talking about communication, which is your daily, everyday life. Remember, I told you it's always going on, even when you're sleeping and even when you're not trying.
How long are they supposed to be again? Mine may be short if that's the case, because I didn't put notes in class. I just put how I felt in class.
a paragraph, maybe 2 paragraphs if you combine 2 days.
Oh, then I'm fine.
So wait a minute, what are you talking about now? I don't know what you're talking
The journal she's talking about.
about. Okay.
Mhm.
Right. So your journals there's a rubric. Go to the course info and down to the rubrics and you'll see the evaluation. I mean, you'll see the requirements.
Oh, you look nice in these braids.
You asked me
There
the
it is.
question. Your response did not reflect the question. Like, I don't know what you're talking about now.
Oh, I didn't. I thought I was muted. Sorry, I'm really exhausted.
You asked the question.
3 jobs is draining.
So
I'm
now
sorry.
are you in another conversation with someone else?
No, my mind just isn't here. I just applied for another job. I'm getting notification of. I'm doing 3 at once while full time. So my brain's just not all here right now.
Okay.
Yeah, girl, same here.
Here we go.
Um,
Okay.
um, it doesn't tell you how much paragraph, but I did
No, it's
like.
not a paragraph or two. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I tell her.
So it's not, I'm not looking for a whole paper on this. This is really just your thoughts about it. And how it reflects on your everyday life. Okay. How do the topics that we discuss on any given day compare to your life communication efforts?
Like Jasmine, you remember that day the professor give you the message? I don't remember when, and it was a whole shebang.
What message?
Oh, the lip
She
sync
told one person the message to translate back, and
Oh,
telephone.
we,
that.
you remember that?
Yeah, I hated that.
Yeah, that's something to write about because that's life.
No, my favorite was that one we were supposed to be detectives or something, and it was like the boss was the thief or the thief
No,
stole the money, and I was like,
no,
we
not
don't know
that
if the
one.
thief's a girl, we don't know their pronouns. It's so much worse.
The one that somebody was supposed to meet somebody to study at 3 o'clock, and it was on whatever street that was, and it was a whole shebang.
Yeah, it got mucked up after the first one. I could feel it because I was like, okay, so Susie was at the corner, and then she said this, and that's all I remember.
So
Yeah.
do you all remember why that message, what was going on with that message?
No, I was just the whole time my head was just like, the rumor
That's
has it.
Because
Ooh.
we were trying,
concept called serial communication.
yeah.
Okay.
Cereal.
Or chain of command. Okay. It's when person one delivers a message to person two, and person two interprets the message with his or her own
Perception.
perception. Okay. And then transfers that message to person three, not person one's actual message. That's the concept behind that. It's called serial communication. It happens a lot. And I told you, now you can see why or how rumors get started. Right? And anybody that was going to take that test on Monday was going to be out of luck because the information wasn't relayed properly, right?
It didn't make a lick of sense when it got to me. I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm. Communication affects your whole life, every
Yeah.
day, all day, and all night while you're sleeping in your dreams. Okay. Sharing of information. All right. Oh, yeah. And one other thing, don't get caught up in giving the wrong speech. Okay. Don't give a persuasive speech on question of fact when you're supposed to give an informative speech. And I told you how to tell the difference. Anybody recall, how do you tell the difference between those two types of speeches? What's the difference? between an informative speech and a persuasive speech on question of fact. An informative speech, you want the aim is to do it accurately, right? Right?
Oh, I was going to say objectivity, but I wasn't sure to clarify.
Objectivity, yes, but don't just go with that, okay? Because then you'll be incorrect.
An informative speech is a speech about descriptions, explanations, or definitions, question of fact.
Those are types
Right.
of informative speech.
Right, is to convey knowledge and understanding. You're supposed to
Right.
be the teacher. Whereas with a persuasive speech, you're creating, reinforcing, or changing people's beliefs or actions.
Yes.
Trying to convince, motivate, or advocate or act.
But the difference between that persuasive speech on question of fact, it looks a whole lot like the informative speech, right? But the difference between the two is that, as Chris said, that informative speech is not taking a partial view of the topic. Okay, you can't get on one side or the other of an argument about it. Okay, if I tell you the 3 steps to making cappuccino is A, B, and C, that's the 3 steps. Okay, there's no arguing about it. You can't get on one side or another. As opposed to these persuasive speeches on question of fact, yeah, you could get on another side of that argument of the 80s was the best time to live. Okay. Or the library is my favorite place to be. The library is a favorite place to be. Like for some people it's not, right? For some people they feel bored or they don't like it for some reason, whatever the reason is. That's the difference. One, the informative speech does not take a partisan view at all. The persuasive speech on question of fact does. It does take a partisan view, and you can get on the other side of an argument. Okay? Because that's basically what these persuasive speeches are, arguments. And you can relate to it or understand it well when you look at how the court system works, a trial. Okay, what one attorney is presenting an argument that the person is guilty. The other is presenting an argument that the person is innocent or not guilty. Right? So that's the difference. One takes a partisan view, the other one does not. And it's easy to get. And you can look for certain terms that help you to understand, okay, no. See, that's when you're talking about likes. Everybody doesn't have the same like, right? So you would know, okay, no, that's probably a persuasive speech on question of fact. Where if I told you signs of breast cancer, those are the signs. All right. So any other questions, any comments, concerns, misunderstandings you'd like for me to try to make better for you?
So if I turn the outline still by today, not tomorrow, whatever, I should have it done by today. I present on Monday. I'm late. but it's done. Any other issues with it? Something I can like put
Okay,
in
so
or extra to do?
won't be delivering any informative speeches on Monday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Okay.
But next Wednesday we don't have class. That's just Amnesty Day.
This Wednesday we don't have class. Next
Yes.
Wednesday we have class.
Yes, next class. So Wednesday coming, we don't have class. I deliver informative after I turn it in on next Wednesday.
The informative needs to be turned in 2 days from now.
Right.
Right. If I don't see it in there on Thursday morning, then you won't be able to deliver your speech, your informative speech, next Wednesday, the 28th. Next Wednesday, the 28th.
Okay.
Okay. All right, then I will see you all on Monday. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye, Professor.
Safe.
You too,
Bye,
Professor.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Chrissy. So
All
nice.
right, ciao. See you later, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Kiera.
Bye, Alicia. Take care.
Did you have a question for me, Dee?
Oh, hey, Professor. I think Kira got stuck, but it's all right. Yeah, just wanted to confirm. You got my email that I'm going to be doing history of Tesla and their vehicles, right?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that.
And I got the second revised copy. So are you saying you're going to put a third copy?
No.
All
The
right.
thing was, I just wanted to reread a few more times so I'm more confident, so I don't have to keep looking back at my speech, and I can do more hand movements and improve that skills, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, I basically finished everything.
Okay.
So I'll see you next Wednesday.
Okay. Take care.
Yep. You as well. Bye bye.